I wanted to make a short video on a new modality that I've recently added to the practice, and it's called NET. It stands for neuro-emotional technique. And I actually heard about this modality through the ND chiropractor that I learn from every Wednesday. I'm with him. And he said, you have to learn this. It's amazingly helpful. It's something that he uses pretty much with every single patient that walks in the door. And so I went and I learned it, and I want to share it with you. So it was discovered by a chiropractor, and it's basically the idea that when emotions don't move through us in a healthy way, they can settle. Or when, traumatic events or situations happen that we don't kind of clear and let go of, they can settle in our bodies. So what I love about NET is that it's based on the Chinese meridian system. And I really trust that system because, Chinese medicine has been around for 4,000 years. It's a very, very old system of healing. And the Chinese have long known that certain emotions are associated with certain organ systems. And so NET gets in touch with that. And it is a form of muscle testing, which I really had to revise my thoughts about because, if I'm being really honest, I kind of looked down on muscle testing. I didn't take it seriously. But seeing the results that I've seen in my own health and in the patients that I have used NET with so far, the results can be pretty profound. So I'm having to kind of revise my prejudices and admit that I was probably wrong about muscle testing. But basically it starts with making a personal declaration. So we take a strong muscle and we say, my name is Renata. If that is true, that should, as somebody pushes down on it, that should remain strong. I am female. Again, that should remain strong. And it comes into play when we ask certain things like, I am completely comfortable being in perfect health. For a lot of people, that one will go weak. And it's interesting to understand, so why is that? Like, why is that thought not completely resonant with our being? And oftentimes there is an emotional component to that. So that's where we start to get into testing and seeing which of the meridian systems that's associated with, which organ system it's associated with, and then understanding the unconscious thought patterns and beliefs that hold that in place. So I don't know, NET is a fascinating thing. And I think if I didn't have personal experience with it, this is one of those things that it's like homeopathy. Sometimes I'll explain to patients that if I hadn't had personal, incredible success with homeopathy, it would be really hard for me to believe it because I don't, scientifically it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And, it's an energetic modality, same as this. But interestingly, at the course, I was taking the course and getting certified in this technique. And one of the things that they asked us to do is use something that's a little bit more personal. So, of course, I used like the most personal thing I could think of, but it was totally to my benefit because this was an issue that I have such a block around, and nothing has shifted it. Like nothing even comes close to touching it. And through NET, I discovered the underlying belief that is a huge part of this. And this is hard to get into without being very specific about what the issue is, but every time I would think about this issue, I would just feel completely hopeless, just defeated. It was not something that, I just didn't see a way out. And after this, so what you do is you find what it is, you find the emotion that it's connected to and the organ system that it's connected to. And that was fascinating too because there are two specific organ systems for myself personally that are a little bit weak or could be better, and they correlated exactly to the emotion and the organ system. So that was fascinating. But then you release it. So once you know what's there, you release it. And I felt joy and I felt hopefulness for the first time ever in relation to that specific issue. And since then, I took the course in late October. Since then, I would say that I've consistently felt hopeful that things will change in that arena. And that is it's a profound shift for me because all I could think about was doom and gloom, negativity, when it came to that particular issue. So the other way that this can be used is using a physical situation that's going on. So it's kind of interesting with musculoskeletal things. So let's say low back pain, you've been to the chiro, you've seen the osteopath, we've done acupuncture, nothing is changing. That's a good time to ask, is there an emotional component that's holding this in place, that's preventing you from healing? So that's another way that this can be used. And then the beauty of it is that you do get to these like deeply rooted unconscious thoughts that you would never have ever in your rational mind been able to get to. But once they're uncovered, they make perfect sense. And then you can release them. And I kind of enjoy working with physical issues because in office you can say, okay, before we start doing this technique, what is the pain level at out of 10? And then once we're done the technique, what is it at now? If there's been any kind of improvement, that's fantastic. So anyway, that's just a little primer and an intro on neuro-emotional technique. If this sounds like it's interesting to you or something that you'd like to experience, please give me a call and book in. Or if you have any further questions, please let me know. I'll do my best to answer them. But yeah, it's fascinating and I've been using it and it's been really great. So give it a try.